monument there, worshipable by all the Vaishnavas. So he could go in and he would sit there, sitting and chanting japa 24/7, and he would pass his time days together like that. Then once in a while he will come out, take little prasad, and then he will go back in. Again he would focus simply on chanting Nam Bhajan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. We were discussing how he assisted in writing different scriptures also. We were discussing how he assisted Sanatana Goswami in writing Hari Bhakti Vilas. He wrote introduction to Satsandarbha. He wrote a commentary on Krishna Caritamrita by Bilvamangal Thakur, so on and so forth. Now, he was contributing in different ways. Many of the most influential Vaishnavas who came after the Goswami's era, most of them, they were all Gopal Bhatta Goswami's disciples or his disciples. So they made immense contribution in spreading, in establishing the authenticity of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, philosophy of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, as well as in propagating it far and wide. So Srinivas Acharya is one of his celebrated disciple. Definitely we don't have time for discussing more about Srinivas Acharya. Some other time we can discuss about Shyamananda Pandit also, Narottam Das Thakur also, some other time. So Srinivas Acharya is one of his celebrated disciples. There are many more Vaishnavas who Srinivas Acharya himself initiated, and they all propagated Krishna consciousness far and wide in different parts of India. So Gopal Bhatta Goswami, one day he was thinking, because when he was serving his parents, Venkata Bhatta and his mother, Venkata Bhatta, shortly before leaving this planet, going to spiritual world, going to Goloka Vrindavan, Venkata Bhatta instructs Gopal Bhatta Goswami that soon we are actually going to quit. So you follow the instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, go to Vrindavan and worship Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is the instruction which Venkata Bhatta gave to Gopal Bhatta Goswami. Now Venkata Bhatta is not just an father figure for, or he was not just a father, biological father for Gopal Bhatta Goswami. Not even just yet another Vaishnava. He was his guru. He is his instructing guru as much as his uncle Prabodhananda Saraswati also. So Gopal Bhatta Goswami, every instruction that came from his father Venkata Bhatta, he was worshipping it as his life and soul. So one day as he was sitting and serving Radharamanji, at the time Gopal Bhatta Goswami was thinking, my God, my father gave me this instruction, which is to go and serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And here I am serving Krishna, which is Radharaman Lal. So I am not fulfilling the instruction of my Gurudev, which is his father, Venkata Bhatta. He told me to go and serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I should be going to Puri. I am here sitting in Vrindavan and serving Radharaman Lal. What will happen to me if I don't follow the instruction? I would severely displease my instructing Guru, Venkata Bhatta. So I need to do something. So thinking this way, he was feeling very disturbed. In Krishna consciousness, all emotions are there, but in a transcendental sense. Prabhupada says every emotion that you have in material world, in the purest form it's there. In spiritual world also. Here there is anger, there is transcendental anger. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu demonstrates it. We recently celebrated Narsingha Chaturthasi. Lord Narsinghadev, he demonstrates it. For the pleasure of Krishna, even Srimati Radharani demonstrates it sometimes, exhibits it. So here sadness or moroseness which he was actually going through should not be confused with the kind of moroseness we go through. Should I practice Krishna consciousness or not? Did I make the right decision to become a monk? Did I make the right decision to practice Krishna consciousness in my life? Okay, that's not the kind of doubt which Gopal Bhatta Goswami had. Gopal Bhatta Goswami's concern there was, my spiritual master told me to worship Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I am not able to do. So what can I do? When he was going through this feeling of sadness, Radharamanji, as Antaryami, he could actually understand the emotion, transcendental emotions in the heart of Gopal Bhatta Goswami. Radharamanji immediately transforms into Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he sits there accepting the offering. And when Gopal Bhatta Goswami saw Radharaman Lal as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he faints in ecstasy. And then when he comes out, then he sees Radharaman Lal again. Then with renewed enthusiasm, he started to worship, completely being convinced that Radharamanji is none other than Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. They both are same. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. Srila Prabhupada says of all the different temples in Vrindavan, Vrindavan has about 5,000 temples. Of all the temples in Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada says Radharamanji temple is the one that has the topmost, highest standard of worship in the entire Vrindavan. And Gopal Bhatta Goswami, he had a disciple, Gopinath Pujari. His name is Gopinath Pujari. Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki jai. So his name is Gopinath Pujari, and he was serving Radha Raman Lal. However, Gopal Bhatta Goswami was thinking that he is a brahmachari, Gopinath Pujari. So Gopinath Pujari would serve throughout his life, but what will happen after Gopinath Pujari gives up his body? He is not a spiritual master either. So then Gopal Bhatta Goswami entrusted the worship of Radharamanji to Gopinath Pujari's brother. His name is Damodar Das. Damodar Das was a grahastha. So till date, the descendants of Damodar Das Goswami, they are the worshippers of Radharaman Lal's Nitya Seva. So if you go there, you can still see the descendants of Damodar Das, who is disciple of Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who is the brother of Gopinath Pujari. So even till date, the key to the temple would be held. There are 3 different keys. It has 3 different locks. And the key for each of the locks, they are kept by different families in that descending line, basically, of Damodar Das. So in order for every day, for even to open the temple, they'll open 3 locks. Even all the jewelry that's actually kept for Radharaman, all costly jewelries that has been donated for past 450 years, they keep it. And it's mentioned, not even one single piece of jewelry has gone missing. They have a very, very strict system of all 3 should be there for them to actually open. When they take out, they were all properly accounted. Then they wear it on the Lord, and when they come back again, all the members were present carrying their different keys, and they are put it in a proper register like that. So they have very, very high class worship. And as I was mentioning, Gopal Bhatta Goswami was Gunamanjari in Vrajlila. Shri Gopal Bhatta Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Then the 6th of the Goswamis we are going to discuss is Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. So if you remember, Tapan Mishra, some of the pastimes I keep repeating so we get acquainted more. Tapan Mishra, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Nimai Pandit, he meets him in Bengal, initiates him, and he instructs him to go to Varanasi of all the places. If you see the earlier pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or even later on as sannyas pastimes also, you will see it's almost like, a transcendental chess player who would move each of the different pieces to different areas. Nobody would understand at that point why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he goes towards Vrindavan, he takes a detour, comes to Ramkeli. Nobody knew why. Because Ramkeli is not definitely on the way from Puri to Vrindavan. But then later on, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself reveals, I came here simply to show my mercy to Rupa, Sanatana and Anupam. So same way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells to Tapan Mishra. Tapan Mishra was confused, what's the goal of his life? So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu initiates him in Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And then he tells to Tapan Mishra, go to Varanasi, I'll come and meet you there. And for Tapan Mishra, that's enough. That instruction is his life and soul. Immediately he goes to Varanasi and settles there. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not even a sannyasi. He didn't ask Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, my Lord, you are just married. You would never leave Navadvip. Why would you come to Varanasi? I'm going so far away. He never questioned anything. He simply took the instruction, worshipped it, went to Varanasi, and he was waiting eagerly to serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Same way Chandrasekhara was also sent there by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for this pastime. And you will see when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes to South India, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells Gopal Bhatta Goswami, you continue to serve your parents. They are all great Vaishnavas. Continue to serve your parents. After their days, in other words, after they go back to Godhead, then you go to Vrindavan. Same way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he comes to Varanasi, he stayed in Tapan Mishra's home for, actually, Chandrasekhara Acharya's home, Chandrasekhara Vaidya's home for 2 months. He would take prasad from Tapan Mishra, but Tapan Mishra would always come to serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu along with his son, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. So, as a young boy, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami was assisting his father, Tapan Mishra, in the service of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And later on, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned back to Puri, after spending 2 months there, it's in Varanasi, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed Sanatana Goswami also, we were discussing, and for 2 full months. And then when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Puri, Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami, later on he took permission from his father, Tapan Mishra. He also comes to Puri. So Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami comes to Puri and he spends 8 full months in Puri. There is one interesting pastime along the way. When Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami comes towards Puri, when he actually crosses Bengal and Orissa, at that time he makes an acquaintance with one Ram Bhakta. His name was Ramdas Vishwas. Now he was known in that area, very very famous in Bengal as a great Ram Bhakta, somebody who renounced everything. 24/7 he would chant the holy name of Lord Ram, and he would only speak Ram Katha all the time. Even as he was walking, he will always keep on talking. So he won't do any Prajalpa, he will only keep on talking Ram Katha throughout. So when he meets Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami, because he is coming from Varanasi, from far away, he was carrying some bags. So Ramdas Vishwas tells Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami, please give me your bags, let me carry. Then Raghunatha Bhatta says, no, you are a very senior Vaishnav, I am a very neophyte. It would be very offensive from my part to let you carry my own belongings, so let me carry. But Ramdas Vishwas, he insists, no, you please give me your bags, I want to carry. So then Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami, not wanting to offend Ramdas, he relents, he lets him carry. So Ramdas Vishwas carry, but as he was carrying also, he would still glorify Lord Ram. And finally they arrive in Puri. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is there, when he sees Ramdas Vishwas, who was a very very famous personality, and he sees Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami, who is just a little boy, youngster at that point of time, who had come from far away, immediately Chaitanya Mahaprabhu runs towards Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami and embraces him, shedding tears of ecstasy to meet his dear devotee, Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami. In this process, he completely ignores Ramdas Vishwas. Now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Antaryami. Many instances we see, as soon as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu desires something, some Brahmana will come and invite him for lunch. Some instances where Sanatana Goswami was contemplating about committing suicide, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, you have given your body to Krishna, your body is my property. Another instance to Rupa Goswami, he says, Nandakumar and Brajendra Nandan and Dwaraka Krishna, they are two different people, or two different, same Krishna, but in two different moods rather. So do not mix them. Now in this instance, he knew Ramdas Vishwas had actually done so much service to his dear devotee. Nevertheless, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ignores him completely. And the reason why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ignores Ramdas Vishwas is, even though he is a great Ram Bhakta, the whole goal of him worshipping Lord Ram is not to go to Ayodhya to serve him eternally. Rather, he wanted to merge in the body of Lord Ram. So technically he is not a Bhakta. He was just an impersonalist, but who was cheating everyone in the name of I'm a great Bhakta of Lord Ram. This was his understanding and this was his mood. He wanted to become the master. He wanted to become Lord Ram. So because of that unfortunate wrong understanding in his bhakti, unfortunate wrong practice of his spirituality, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejects him completely. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then engages Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami in different services. In service of Jagannath, in getting instructions from different Vaishnavas. Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami was a very, very famous, celebrated cook. So he loved cooking for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during his 8 months of stay in Puri. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then one day he tells to Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami, your parents will be staying there alone. Your parents are all my eternal associates. So I think you should go back to Varanasi for some time. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells that to Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami faints when he thinks about the impending feeling of separation he had to go through to be away from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when he faints, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu picks him up, embraces him. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also sheds tears of separation. Nevertheless, he gives Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami 3 instructions which he asks him to follow. First instruction he tells him is, go back to Varanasi and serve your parents with all your heart. Your parents are my eternal associates. They are very well known Vaishnavas. You serve them and take the mercy from the service. Please go back and serve them. So that's the first instruction he tells to Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. Second instruction he tells him is, do not marry. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could see Raghunath Bhatta Goswami was almost on the platform of renunciation. Even though formally he hasn't taken the renounced order like Swarup Damodar or even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, he could see Raghunath Bhatta Goswami's sole mood was simply to expand on the service at the lotus feet of Krishna. That's all he was worried about. He was a great servant of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's mentioned he has so much taste for Srimad Bhagavatam. He took a lot of pleasure in just reciting Srimad Bhagavatam and singing Srimad Bhagavatam verses in 3 or 4 different tunes. And whenever he recited Srimad Bhagavatam, it would sound like a cuckoo bird. That's how sweet his recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam would be. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed him, that's the third instruction Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells him, go and hear Srimad Bhagavatam every day from a self-realized soul. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu emphasizes from a self-realized soul. Very important. Avaishnava Mukodgirdam Putam Harikatamritam Shravanam Naiva Kartavyam Sarpochistam Etapaya. Prabhupada often used to quote this particular verse from Padma Puran, that's listed in Haribhakti Vilas by Srila Sanatana Goswami. One should be very careful to hear the holy name, hear Srimad Bhagavatam, hear the transcendental sound vibration from the lips of pure devotees. If somebody may not be pure devotee, at least they should be aspiring to become a pure devotee. Otherwise, if you hear Prabhupada's famous Hare Krishna Mahamantra album, where Prabhupada gives the purport of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, there also Prabhupada emphasizes on this. Because just like how milk, when touched by the lips of the serpent doesn't have to spit the venom. Simply by touching, it becomes poisonous. So Prabhupada says similarly, holy name is very, very pure, but when it's coming out from the lips of a non-devotee, it will have its negative effect. So Srila Prabhupada warns there. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu here also, he warns Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, especially he is going to where? Varanasi, headquarters of Mayavadis. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu specifically warns him, hear Srimad Bhagavatam from a self-realized soul, do not marry, go back and serve your parents. So taking this instruction, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, he falls at the feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he then removes his neck beads and then he puts it on around the neck of Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. So he got the Mahaprasad directly from the neck of Lord, presented by Lord himself. And then he goes back to Varanasi, spends the next 4 years following the instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He didn't marry. He was serving his parents very, very devotedly, and every single day he was hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from self-realized soul. This way he spent for 4 years, and by 4 years' time, both the parents, they actually go back to spiritual world. Now again he heads towards Puri. He goes to Puri again, spends another 8 months. So twice he spent 8 months. 8 months he spends in Puri initially, goes back, spends 4 years in home, comes back again, spends another 8 months. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again, he engages him in service of the Vaishnavas. Again, he took a lot of pleasure in serving Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with this wonderful cooking. Then at the end of 8 months, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu now instructs him, okay, now go to Vrindavan. Go and take shelter of the Goswamis, especially Rupa and Sanatana. So now Raghunath Das Goswami, before he heads towards Vrindavan, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu this time he gives a long tulasi garland. He puts it around the neck as Mahaprasad, and then he also tells Raghunath Das Goswami, when you actually go back, you serve under the instruction, under the guidance of different Goswamis. So Raghunath Goswami then heads towards Vrindavan. So as soon as he arrived in Vrindavan, devotees were very, very eager. They welcomed him. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he gave prasad, he also had given some betel nut Mahaprasad of Jagannath also. So he took both of them with him, tied, and then he took it to Vrindavan. So when he went to Vrindavan, he was welcomed by all the devotees, especially the Goswamis. And Rupa Goswami immediately, knowing Raghunath Bhatta Goswami's wonderful qualities, because Sanatana Goswami had already met Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Rupa Goswami had already met, because he had also stayed there for 10 days, if you remember. When Rupa Goswami was going to Puri, he stayed in Varanasi for 10 days. So they are all already acquainted. So knowing very well the glorious qualities of Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Rupa Goswami immediately engages him in service of Sri Radha Govindaji. So then Srila Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, he started to do what he does best. 2 things. He started to cook very elaborate bhoga offerings for Sri Sri Radha Govindaji. He was also engaged in serving very, very menially to all the Vaishnavas, especially the Goswamis. He was also engaged in reciting Srimad Bhagavatam for the pleasure of all the Vaishnavas, especially under the tutelage of Srila Rupa Goswami. So he used to recite verses beautifully in such melodious tunes. It's mentioned whenever he recites, even the birds would actually sit and listen. They wouldn't move. Even the tree leaves would just wait. They wouldn't even batter, even due to the wind. They would just freeze and they would just hear. Such was his glorious recitation, glorious service of Srimad Bhagavatam. Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami also initiated disciples. In fact, it was only through his disciples he built the famous temple of Sri Sri Radha Govindaji. You can still see. There were many stories. Srila Prabhupada says the top few stories, they were destroyed by the Mughal ruler, tyrannical ruler Aurangzeb. But if you go there, you can still see some of the stories. Beautiful red sandstone temple. So that was built by one of the disciples of Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. Raghunath Bhatta Goswami's one glorious quality that's been repeatedly emphasized in scriptures is he will never find fault in Vaishnavas. If somebody comes and points at some mistake of Vaishnavas, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami's famous reply would be, with all, whatever faults one may have, they are engaged in service of Krishna. That one glorious quality will supersede, will outperform any other blemishes which one may have. So I'm not bothered about hearing where the faults are. I'm simply focused on the one glorious quality, which is this particular Vaishnava is engaged in or this particular Vaishnavi engaged in the service of Krishna. So this is very important lesson we have to learn from the dealings and instructions of different Goswamis, especially Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. As we were discussing, finding fault is not such a glorious quality. In fact, there is no credit in it. Okay, Shukadeva Goswami had long predicted the qualities of people who would appear in Kali Yuga. We are in Kali Yuga and we are the people. We are in human form. So it's natural for everyone to have faults. So picking faults, it's actually a very cowardly act in one sense. Actually, because only those who have the courage, they can glorify other people. If one who feels insecure in heart, they cannot actually find the good qualities in others. So it takes a lot of courage to find positive qualities in other devotees. It takes a lot of courage to glorify without feeling insecure. If we have a proper philosophical understanding, we would know that each one of us, we have a very unique relationship with Krishna, which means whatever service one devotee do for Krishna, eternally, that devotee alone can do that service. No one else can replace that position. Whatever service that I can do for Radha Gopinath, eternally, nobody else can do. That particular service only Gopinath will take from me. Same way from you, same way from you, same way from each one of the different living entities. Don't worry, there's unlimited services. So, there is no need to fight, there is no need to feel insecure, there is no need to find fault. If we can find some glorious qualities, we should be able to. That is proper progress in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, to be able to just deal with Radha Gopinath, we can be the greatest devotee of Radha Gopinath. However, if we can't deal nicely, if we can't glorify the devotees of Sri Sri Radha Gopinath, no matter how much we try, we would still be in the neophyte stage. We will never be able to go back to Godhead. Bhaktivedanta Purna Maharaj, he says, if you have trouble with the devotees, you will never make it to Godhead because Goloka is full of them. So it's for our own good as well as by following strictly the principle, philosophy, especially Caitanya Caritamrita. It mentions again and again and again and again about serving Vaishnavas, about humility, about being a menial servant. Where is the question of fault finding here? Absolutely not. So that's why fault finding is not a glorious quality, it is a cowardly act. If somebody has that philosophical understanding that my service with Radha Gopinath eternally, it's not gonna go away, then we'll just remain fixed in that. We don't need to feel insecure. If we feel insecure means we are afraid, then we are cowards. So we have to be, scriptures are very strong. So repeatedly this point is being emphasized, especially in Caitanya Caritamrita. If you see the dealings of different Vaishnavas, how they do, if we follow the philosophy properly, then we'll come to the right understanding, which is my service each one of our services with Sri Sri Radha Gopinath is eternal. And whatever each one of us can do, no other living entity can do. So that is reserved. So if at all we have to focus more in our relationship with Radha Gopinath, to go deep in our service, stay focused there. And along the way, if we can encourage other devotees, fantastic. We should. That's ideal. If we can't, at least we should just focus on our services. Finding fault is definitely downward progress, actually. So we have to be very, very careful. So this is one primary instruction which Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami, he demonstrated. And that was his famous reply. We have little over 5 minutes. I'll touch on Narottam Das Thakur. Sri Sadgoswami Prabhu's ki jai. Sri Rupa Sri Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath, Sri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasa Raghunath, Prabhu of Vrindavan ki jai. Narottam Das Thakur. We have the three famous devotees who are the original Sankirtan devotees. Not just for Sankirtan, they were all Kirtanias themselves. Many of the Mridanga beats we play. Actually, all the Mridanga beats we play. They were all originally written by either Narottam Das Thakur or Srinivas Acharya. If you read the biography of Narottam Das Thakur or Srinivas Acharya, you would see both of them, they formed their own style. And this particular style of be it Kirtan or be it Mridanga or be it Raga, they all descended from the spiritual world itself. And these two Prabhus, especially Srinivas Acharya as well as Narottam Das Thakur Mahashya, they both imported it directly from the spiritual world to material world. So to spiritualize the material world also. So their contribution is very, very immense, be it in terms of writing Vaishnava songs, be it in terms of spreading Krishna consciousness far and wide, especially in Orissa and Bengal. Orissa it was mainly Shyamananda Pandit and his disciples, Rasikananda Thakur, so on and so forth. And in Bengal especially it was Srinivas Acharya and Narottam Das Thakur, East Bengal, West Bengal, both. So before we can touch on Narottam Das Thakur's pastimes, when we discuss the Caitanya Caritamrita, chapters, we have to start from Adi Leela chapter 11 from tomorrow. But I'll just give a bit of a background for Narottam Das Thakur's appearance. Long before Narottam Das Thakur appeared in this world, in fact even long before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself took sannyas, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sends two of his personal associates from Navadvip, asking them to go to Vrindavan. This is again, as I said, it's like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is like that transcendental chess player. He planned it well ahead of time, asking them to go there, giving them specific instructions. Now, even though Chaitanya Mahaprabhu hadn't revealed his supremacy as the Supreme Lord, because they loved Chaitanya Mahaprabhu unconditionally, even when he was as a grahastha, as a householder, as Nimai Pandit, simply whatever he said, they were taking it and following it. We saw that mood in Jagannath Mishra, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's father as well. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very, very small, Nimai, naughty Nimai. At the time, one day he said, please take me to the house of Hiranya Pandit because he is having Ekadashi Prasad. Nobody questioned him. They took him there and they allowed him to take straight away. As much as Nanda Maharaj and other elderly Gopas, they took the words of Krishna seriously and they stopped abandoning age-long tradition of worshipping Indra and instead they started worshipping Giriraj Govardhan. Giriraj Govardhan ki jai. So here also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had many schoolmates. We saw Murari Gupta, one of them Gadadhar Pandit, Mukunda Datta. Similarly, Lokanath Goswami, who is spiritual master of Narottam Das Thakur, was also a schoolmate of Nimai Pandit. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sends both Lokanath Goswami and Bhugarbha Goswami to Vrindavan. Lokanath Goswami was Leela Manjari and Bhugarbha was Prema Manjari. They both were friends in Navadvip Dham. They both are eternally friends in Brajalila also, Leela Manjari and Prema Manjari. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, knowing their spiritual identity, it's mentioned many times. For some of the close associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they know their eternal form, but some of them they don't. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told both of them, Lokanath Goswami and Bhugarbha Goswami, that you please go to Vrindavan, find out the lost places of Vrindavan, because Krishna, he performed the pastimes at that time 4,500 years ago, which I'm talking 500 years ago, it was 4,500 years ago then. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sent them to go and find places because of foreign invasion, because of science ravages of time, many of the places of pastimes, they sort of became obscured from normal material vision. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, knowing very well their eternal position, because as Leela Manjari and Prema Manjari, these two Goswamis had already performed the pastimes in Vrindavan. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sends both of them and says, you know the place, you go and find out. So he sends both of them. So they both started going to different places, and they started identifying the different Leela Stalas in Vrindavan. So Lokanath Goswami, he goes, they both established, they are the first Goswamis to go and stay there. Later on, Rupa, Sanatana, all other Goswamis started to come. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Gaudiya line of Goswamis, they are the first ones who Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sent there. Bhugarbha, as the name implies, Bhu means earth, Garbha means womb. So Bhugarbha Goswami, just like Gopal Bhatta Goswami, in order to stay away from any distractions, any disturbances, he would make a hole, he would stay inside the hole on the ground, he would simply sit there and chant whole day, whole night. That's what he was doing. Lokanath Goswami, there are many instructions Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives him. Look, one of that is to establish worship of Sri Radha Gokulananda. Sri Radha Gokulananda Bhagavan Ki Jai. So Lokanath Goswami builds a beautiful temple. This is one of the 7 main temples in Vrindavan. So Lokanath Goswami, he was there and taking care of Vaishnavas, establishing the position of Gaudiya Vaishnavism there. Meanwhile, Lokanath Goswami, he comes to know that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas. Now, Lokanath Goswami faints. How can the Supreme Lord give up? Like yesterday we were discussing, Srila Prabhupada explains that the mode of Gaudiya Vaishnavas is not to worship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in sannyas form, because it's too much austerity. To think why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or it's too much for devotees to digest about the amount of austerity Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took in order just simply to give mercy. We celebrated Narsinga Chaturdashi. Narsingadev came from the inside the pillar and he killed somebody. We glorify that so much. How can we glorify enough that same Supreme Lord, actually origin of even Narsingadev, who comes down, giving up his position as God and taking up sannyas role? Inconceivable. How can we glorify? If we can't even glorify enough the mercy of Lord Narsingadev, what to speak of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, somebody who is giving up his position as God and coming down as a sannyasi? How is it even conceivable? Devotees would faint when they even think about it. So when Lokanath Goswami comes to know about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's sannyas, he stays in Vrindavan. He couldn't stay there peaceful. Immediately he rushes towards Puri. By the time Lokanath Goswami comes to Puri, he hears Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had already gone to South Indian travel. So now he traces the step. Because in those days, no SMS, Twitter, nothing. Everything had to be done by walk. So now he is walking, asking everyone, did you see a dancing Gaurahari, dancing line like sannyasi going this way? Yes, this is how he found, trying to trace the steps. This way he followed the entire route of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then when he went to one place, they said, no, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came here, and he returned back. Then he was again going back through the same way. Now as he was coming, he then heard from the people, we heard Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going to Puri. So now he is confident he will find Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Puri. So then he goes to Puri. When he reaches Puri, he hears that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had gone to Vrindavan. Again he traces back to Vrindavan. That's where he started. He comes to Vrindavan. When he reached there, that's when devotees say, sorry, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had already returned back to Benares through Prayag. Then, not the one to easily give up, he then heads towards Varanasi. One night as he was taking rest, in his dream Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears as Nimai Pandit. And he tells to Lokanath Goswami, I'm running away from you. Because if you see me in my sannyas form, you won't stay in this body, you will quit it. And there is a lot more services I have for you. Go back to Vrindavan, don't waste time. Then Lokanath Goswami submits to that instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, goes to Vrindavan. He never sees Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in sannyas form after that. Then he stays in Vrindavan, and then he instructs the famous disciple of Chaitanya, or famous descendant of Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, glorious associate of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Narottam Das Thakur. So that's the background. We didn't get time to start discussing on Narottam Das Thakur. Some other time we can. So we'll start from chapter 11 of Adi Leela. Most of the chapters, remaining chapters in Adi Leela, we covered, at least touched on. So we'll try to finish it hopefully in another week or so before we go for Madhya Leela. I think we spent a good, 10 to 14 classes on Goswamis, maybe more than that. I don't know. I lost track. Today is like 46 or 47. Soon we'll go to half a century. Sri Caitanya Caritamrita ki jai. Sri Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki jai. Sri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki jai. Shri Shri Gauranitai ki jai. Samaveda Gaur Bhakta Vrindi ki jai. Devotees in YouTube, Facebook, Mayapur TV ki jai. Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Padaya Vishnu Jai Padaya Swami Namane Namo Acharya Padaya Nitai Kripa Padaya Gaura Gatatam Daya Nagra Gramadari